Monday during this recording, but it will be posted on Tuesday. My name is James Grande, joined by Matt Selz. This is the Fantasy Alarm Fantasy Baseball podcast on Fantasy Alarm and the Better Sports Network. As you can see, no Colby Conway today. You know the story is all this time. Another vacation. Colby has as much vacation time as anyone I've ever met. From this job, from his other job. I mean, Colby, we're a man of many hats with many vacations as well. Matt, what's going on, brother?
I'm good. I guess when you have that many hats, you get a lot of vacation days racked
Yes,
up.
yes, that's correct.
I
That
don't
is
know, but yeah, he should be back Thursday, I think, for the second edition this week. But things are good here, man. How was your Father's Day? Mine was pretty fun. Went to a science museum with my kids, so that was a blast. Yours are still maybe a little young for that, though.
we've been to like a couple museums, not science, mostly one like museums with like little stingrays that you can pet or
Yep.
like the little fun kid stuff that you have gone through twice. Not yet, but my Father's Day was nice. Got this nice dinosaur card that opens up and tells me how much he loves me by moving his arm. So it was a good Father's Day. Had some quality donuts from Krispy Kreme in the morning, so that's always great. But glad to hear your Father's Day went well. Mine went well, and I hope everyone's did as well out there. And let's just go through some of the things we're going to talk about today, and let's get into the hot topics of the week, Matt. Starting off with the Angels, who are actually maybe good, but it is largely due to one singular player, and maybe there's two of this guy. Okay, maybe that's like the thing that we're all missing. Maybe there's two of them, and this is Shohei Ohtani, who, if you go over to the Angels team leaders page, you can go to ESPN, you go to MLB.com, you go to wherever you access your team leaders. The only categories that Shohei Ohtani is not leading in is saves and holds. That is it.
Yep.
That is it. And I said to Matt off air, why isn't he leading in those two? I mean, might as well, right? On the days he doesn't start, just throw him in the ninth, guaranteed to win.
Yeah, let him do his bullpen work on the mound.
I mean, we've never seen that before, right? So why? I mean, what's the difference? So Matt,
Give
I gotta
Estevez
ask.
a break, man.
I give him a break. Give him a break, Matt. We haven't ever seen this, at least in the modern baseball. Is this breaking baseball? Is Shohei Ohtani breaking the sport of baseball that as we know it? Is there going to ever be another Shohei Ohtani?
I don't know. Like every year I do draft prep, right? I'm smack in the middle of it. I did the prospect report last week for the prospects we would see at the College World Series. Digging into some of that as the draft is coming up. You see a lot of these guys that say, "Oh, I can throw 97 on the mound, and
Right.
I also play outfield, and I got some pop." It's like, okay, but do you have 8 pitches you can throw for a strike? Because Shohei
Right.
Ohtani does. Can you do anything other than mash fastballs at the plate? Because Shohei Ohtani hits everything, right? He's hitting 300 something against major league pitchers, and major league hitters are only hitting 178 against him. That's a ridiculous stat. Like he so I think there's guys every year you hear about, oh, they could be two-way. I don't think other teams want to try it just yet because of the risk that if it doesn't go right, then you screw up that player,
Right.
right?
Like McKay, right? That was our most recent
Yeah.
example in Tampa Bay.
There's a guy in the Pirates farm system at the moment. I am blanking on his name here. Let me see if I can. But Bubba Chandler was drafted as a pitcher and an outfielder, and they have now since decided just to make him a pitcher because his velocity and movement and stuff on the mound is more valuable than an extra bat.
Right.
As I moved my cat. So there's been a few, but yeah, it did not work well for Brendan McKay, who got injured on the mound and then couldn't swing. So
Not great, Bob.
no.
Not great. Another notable hot topic we have heading into this week is the Pirates calling up 2021 number one overall pick Henry Davis. He's a catcher. Pittsburgh is calling him up on Monday. He's going to be in the lineup. He's 23 years old, so coming into the year, he was a top consensus 75 prospect, really everywhere. Um, what do we make of the call up, Matt? And what's the fantasy significance? Because we're gonna get to something I think that fits this conversation a little later that maybe you want to hold off on now. But what do you make of the Henry Davis call up? Do you think it's the right time to do so, considering he was just drafted two years ago?
Yeah, it's pretty impressive considering the fact that we normally expect catchers to have a longer maturity time because
Right,
not only do they have to get the offense down, they got to get all the nuances of catching and you gotta,
right,
meld with the staffs and learn to call a game. And, because even at some colleges, the catchers aren't fully calling games, right? There's still some
right.
college coaches that are out there making pitch suggestions and whatnot. He's been pretty good this year in the minors. He's played 51 games across a couple of levels. He's hitting 284, pretty nice for a catcher, right? He's got 11 homers. He's even got 9 steals. I don't expect him to steal that many
Right.
bags in the majors. His run grade's only about a 40 to a 45, and they don't need to add risk of getting him injured. Let's face it. But his hit tool and his power are both plus, which is pretty nice from the catcher spot. So if you're getting a lot of power and you're getting a pretty high average, that could be pretty valuable. Do I expect a massive fantasy impact right now? I don't think so. It's not like an Adley Rutschman call up, like a generational catcher. This guy's pretty good, but he's in the next tier at best when he hits a ceiling. He's not an Adley or a Real Muto. But it is pretty interesting to see the Pirates making moves and calling their young guys up. Not the catcher I expected them to
Yeah,
call up first.
interesting. Um, well, I sometimes you make a splash. Maybe you want to put a couple more asses in the seats, Matt, and calling up your first overall pick from 2 years ago could definitely do so. Let's move, and we'll obviously come back to him in a later segment on this show. But so let's move on to, I mean, probably the biggest talking point of the weekend, and someone that I've religiously crapped on this season is Lance Lynn. You know, call a
And
spade a spade. The guy had 16 He had 16 strikeouts on
a broken
Sunday,
clock is right
and
twice a day. So,
right, still gave up 3 runs. Still got a loss in a game that he had 16 strikeouts. Third time this year he's had 10 or more strikeouts, and he's lost 2 of them. He has not won a single game with 10 or more strikeouts. What do you make of Lance Lynn's 16 strikeout performance? And I mean, he's 4-8 on the year with a 6.51 ERA.
everybody has a good game every now and then, right? Like
Right. Yeah.
I mean, nothing more than that, right? It was a great day. If you
Yeah.
played him in DFS, congrats, because that's a boatload of points, even though you didn't get the win, which would have helped you more.
Hey.
Still, the White Sox, they're still terrible. They're still injured. Nobody
Yep.
can pitch. Nobody can save the games at this point. I'm still not touching them.
Still lost. Still lost.
Yeah.
Still lost at the end of the day. Yeah, I mean, 16 strikeouts are great. Great. Amazing. Wasn't even on the main slate. Couldn't even play Lance Lynn if we wanted to, unfortunately. Yeah, I mean, I'm with you. I mean, he does have some decent peripheral numbers, but let's face facts. He's 35 or 36 as of May, and he's clearly been on the decline. He can't get any lefty bats out.
Correct.
Any. And when you look at Seattle isn't exactly a team you think, "Oh, man, they have a ton of lefties in their lineup." No, you think of one. Literally one, maybe two when you add Cal Raleigh into the mix. So,
Not
I
to
think it
mention
is what
they
it is.
strike out
Seattle's
more
been
than they strike out more than like
right.
any team in baseball.
Yep,
So
yep. Top 5 strikeout in the league as well. So agreed. Kudos to Lance Lynn for his 16 strikeouts, but he's still largely been disappointing, and I'm not racing to any type of waiver wire to pick him up unless I'm in an AL only league and I'm incredibly desperate and there's
yeah.
14 or 13 other teams there. Let's head into the injury segment of this show, Matt, because as always, injuries reign supreme in fantasy baseball. What to do when a player gets injured, who to add. That's always, the number 1 and 2 questions followed behind the injury. Well, the number one injury return is Pete Alonso is back, and the Mets option Mark Vientos back to AAA. What do you? We don't need to talk about Alonso because like it's plugged back into your lineup. But do you expect that we see Vientos again before September if there are no injuries for the Mets moving forward?
I don't think so. I don't know where you slot him in, right? If your goal is to
I mean, it's
give
Vogelback. It's
Beatty,
Vogelback, right? It's
I
Vogelback.
mean,
If they stop playing, Vogelback, if Vogelback
yeah,
continues this, I know he hit the home run over the weekend. But if he stinks again, is that the only way we get Vientos back up?
probably. I mean, I feel like they've
Because
got
didn't
some
they
other
also
bats.
sign Luke Voigt? Well,
Yeah,
they also signed Luke Voigt to that
yeah,
minor
because they
league
have a
deal
thing
as
for
well.
beefy
So
dudes who don't like to wear shirts. Like,
yes,
um,
yes, that is correct. That is correct.
um, that might be the only way. But at this point, I think they want to give him a shot to play the field and be of more use than just a bat.
Yep.
Um,
Yep.
they do have other guys that can put in the DH spot as well. You could put Tommy Pham there if you're not playing him in the outfield. You could rotate like I don't know your 6 outfielders. One of them could play DH for you. You have Francisco Alvarez who, between taking days off of catching, could DH. You still got some young guys that are not playing every day. So without an injury, it's hard to see a path for Vientos to come up.
Yeah, agreed. Which is unfortunate, and ultimately makes him droppable in pretty much all
Is
formats
there a
this
chance?
time.
Because I
Not
thought
time.
I thought they may trade their shortstop they just called up, Ronnie Mauricio, at the deadline. Then they called him up. I'm still of the belief that they probably move him, but they may move Vientos too to get some pitching help
Yeah,
at
I
the
mean
deadline.
that's yeah, but we'll see where the Mets are at the deadline because don't look now. Atlanta and Miami keep winning. like
I mean,
they both and the Phillies don't look now. They keep winning.
yeah,
Like
the Mets are.
it wouldn't surprise. And I understand the Mets are what they are. Like the ownership is not going to just like tank, but they're now 5 games under. They're 12 and a half games back in the division. That's already lost because Atlanta's not going to blow that.
No.
We know what Philly did in the second half of last year, and it's starting to just run. They're starting to run it back now that they're all healthy. We'll see. We'll see. Right? Maybe that Vientos move doesn't happen until next year after some big beefy numbers at AAA.
Possible.
Boost his value again. Another big time injury, and maybe the most concerning in my neck of the woods, Matt, and
Also, I
possibly
have him
your
on
neck of
my
the
home
woods
league. I paid like
is
almost
your
20%
yeah,
of my
in your
budget
neck of
for him. So,
yeah, yep,
yeah.
that's a lot. Is Aaron Judge in his second PRP injection? If you were putting this on a scale, 1 to 10, 1 being not concerned in the slightest, Aaron Judge will be fine. 10 being everything is fine with the dog sitting in the fire flamed emoji. How would you assess your level of concern?
We're going at about a 7.5 right now, maybe an 8.
Oh,
I
there's
don't
like there's smoke. There's smoke in that room with the dog. There's not fire, but there's a lot of
no.
smoke in there, huh?
First of all, it's the second PRP injection, right? That's not
Yeah.
you don't want
Yes.
your guy to take
Yes.
one, let alone two,
No.
because if it takes two, your timeline's going and it's not doing what it's supposed to do. Um, it might be a toe, but on a 6'7" dude, that big toe is big. And he's going to need
Yes.
every bit of it to stand there and drive them out of whatever ballpark he happens to be playing in that day, whether it be Little League or not. Um, yeah, I'm concerned. Also, Aaron Boone, I know we can't take him seriously except for getting thrown out at a record pace of baseball games at this point. But he said it might be a week, it might be a month, it might be next year. We might need surgery. We might not need surgery. I have no clue. Why are you opening your face
Yes.
then? Like,
Yes.
like that
Stay
was not
away.
helpful in the least. So I'm pretty concerned. Also, the longer it takes, the less likely it is he gets back to playing the field and he's just DHing, which isn't the
Yep.
biggest thing. But in real life baseball, that means somebody who with a worse defensive skill has got to go play right field for the Yankees, which
Giancarlo
is also
Stanton.
not great.
Giancarlo Stanton.
Yeah,
Listen, I've always been a. I don't know what the hell happened to that guy because he was a good defender in Florida before they went to Miami. He was a good defender with
Yes.
a plus arm. What happened?
Uh,
Just, you know what happened?
that
They
deep.
just
By the way, that
decided,
defensive outfield used to be really good. Like Marcelo Ozuna was really good defensively in his
yeah,
younger days. They also had Christian Yelich out there
yeah, like,
too.
yeah,
It's a
dude.
hell of an outfield.
And now, no, who knows what happened to any of them? I mean, well, we know what happened to
Well,
Ozuna. He's just a piece of crap. But we don't know what happened to Stanton or Yelich. They just kind of fell off. But I'm just saying, if that's the case, Stanton can still go out there. They just choose not to because he's oft injured. Like they're just like,
yeah, they're
don't go out
trying to
there because we
protect
don't want
him.
you to get
Yeah,
injured.
yeah.
Yes.
But at
I
this
am
point,
also concerned.
I'm pretty sure Judge's toe is broken at this point. I don't think it's a sprain. I think
Yes.
it's
I
broken.
mean, dude, he, like you said, large man runs full speed into cement block at full speed and runs through wall at full speed. Like
Yeah, the gate opened,
writing was on the
man.
right writing was on cement wall when toe hit there.
Also,
Anyways,
the fact that the
I am
Dodgers
also
said,
concerned.
"Oh wait, we'll pad that part after he hit it," that tells you that it was a pretty serious thing.
Speaking of very serious things, anytime you hear UCL, Matt, is the number one cause for concern. That is what we have heard with Tristan McKenzie. Terry Francona said there's inflammation, quote, means the UCL is involved, end quote. End season, right? I
Yep,
mean,
yep.
does we need to really, I mean, end quote, end season. It's over probably for Tristan McKenzie. And obviously, if he does undergo Tommy John, if that's where we go down the road to, a lot of 2024 is going to be over for Tristan McKenzie as well.
Yeah. If the UCL is involved, I don't want to be. Like,
Yes, agreed.
I'm
Done.
not.
Done. He's
Inflammation
done.
doesn't just show up because you woke up on some idle Tuesday and slept on the wrong
No.
side of the bed. That doesn't happen. It happens because there is an injury there, and your body is trying to heal it, which is why it gets inflamed and whatnot. So if the UCL is involved, even if you sprain it, a sprain is, a sprain and a strain can be basically need to be surgically repaired for some people. Uh, I'm not
He's
holding
done.
out hope that
He's
McKenzie's
done.
back. Um,
The quote was, means the UCL is involved, is what from Terry Francona, manager of the Cleveland Guardians. He's
who I
done.
trust a whole
He's
hell of a
done.
lot more with injury updates than Aaron Boone.
Correct. You can go ahead and drop Tristan McKenzie. I mean,
Yep.
if you want to add him to your IL and just, for what it's worth. But as soon as we get word that Tommy John
Unless
is
you're
in
in a
play, keeper, yeah,
no
dynasty, you're holding.
keeper, I may
Pro-
not.
well, we'll see. Depends on how many keepers there are and all that good stuff. So,
I mean, but if it's
we'll.
Tommy John, it's at least a
I
year.
mean, you.
We're already at June.
Yeah, I mean, he's not coming back until probably September of next year. I mean, I know that's a little over a year, but like we don't know when he's going to get the Tommy John.
Right.
We don't know how long all this. They want the
It could be
inflammation
like
to go
Walker
down
Bueller, where
before.
you knew he needed Tommy John and he waited till the freaking
Yeah.
postseason to do it and cost
Right.
himself an entire year.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. So I'm just saying, like,
Yeah.
there's really no timeline on this. If,
Correct.
in fact, if and when the Tommy John comes, and it's just not bad business for your fantasy teams. A couple more injuries to note. Sean Murphy at the catcher position. There was a hamstring, right? It was just
Yeah.
like a little
He's
flare up, I guess.
uncomfortable.
It wasn't. Yeah, it
Yeah.
wasn't like an official, like no strain, no tear. It was just a uncomfortability.
Yeah.
And then Alejandro Kirk has the injured hand after getting hit by a pitch. Thoughts there? Do we see Dalton Varsho make a couple appearances behind the plate for Toronto?
I don't know. They got
Probably
Danny
just
Jansen.
Danny Jensen, right? Yeah,
Yeah.
probably just Danny Jensen.
So maybe, but I think his value is still more in the. I mean, he's playing a pretty good. He plays a pretty decent defensive outfield.
He sure does. No, he does.
So,
I'm just saying, for maybe leagues that lost Dalton Varsho his catcher eligibility, wouldn't hate to see him get it back.
I mean, it would certainly add value to the catcher spot next year.
Yes, it sure would. what others? I mean, other than and we talked about it. Okay, how about this? We'll segue this into earlier segment on Henry Davis. If Kirk hits the IL, Murphy hits the IL, are you interested in adding Henry Davis?
Sure. I'll take a shot. Look, we need somebody to play catcher, right? Like that position is gross. It's not like Kirk's been playing all that well this year to begin with.
No, he has not. No, he
No,
has not.
I literally have zero explanation for why it's not like everybody else in Toronto is hitting well in the softball park except for Alejandro Kirk.
Yep.
So if he hits the IL with maybe a bruised hand or hope it's not broken, but if it is, then yeah, sure, pick up Henry Davis. If Sean Murphy hits the IL, which pretty sure Travis Darno is hoping for, so he can get a starting job back,
Correct.
um,
Correct.
pick up Henry Davis. If you need help in catcher, take a shot on Henry Davis. Like we talked about this
Agreed.
last week with Gary Sanchez, was worth picking up until he cooled down, and then go pick up somebody else. Stream
Right.
catchers at this point.
Yep. Two options I would say: Henry Davis and Yainier Diaz
Yeah, that
over
guy's
in
been
Houston.
phenomenal this
Very
year.
good. It's been very good. Not owned, not very
Nope.
owned across the industry, and he also might have first base eligibility in some places, or garner some first base eligibility. So keep your eye on that. Any other injuries you're looking out for, Matt? We can just rattle through a couple of
I
them
mean,
if
I
you
know
want to head over to
Fensty's
fantasy.
got Justin Fensterman's got a masterful piece out Monday
Yep.
morning, highlighting quite a lot of injuries, not only to hitters, but the pitching segment's longer than the hitting segment, full of
Yep.
starters and relievers. So I would go check that out. It's free, so go check it out. Go get some info, and there'll be another piece out later this week too that'll probably give some updates.
Yep. Lots of names, notably Max Muncy, Nick Castellanos, the aforementioned Sean Murphy. We have Seth Lugo's return imminent. So a lot of names on Fancy's list. Shout out to him. Matt, flavor of the week time. What is your flavor of the week as we head into this brand new fantasy baseball week season?
Yeah, so if you remember back to last week, I said hose water, which was like, you're just settling for the hose water. You're not going in and getting the filtered stuff. You're just dealing with the guys that are on your line in your lineup, even though you should probably swap them out. We're gonna take a
Right.
little bit of a different tack this week. We're going with summer stew, right? Normally, stew is a fall thing. We just released our fantasy football draft guide. That's for the fall. That's a heavy thing. Usually stew is for
Right.
colder weather like football weather. Well, you can make
Right.
summer stew in the summer. My wife and I are growing vegetables in our backyard, some zucchini, some carrots, peppers, whatnot. I'm going to turn them into a stew. What happens with a stew? The longer it cooks, the longer you let it sit, the better it tastes, right? Fantasy baseball. Let your roster cook, man. Just let it sit there and stew and gel and whatnot. Because you know what happens if you drop a guy in the cold streak? Somebody else picks him up and gets him for the hot streak, and you're still stuck with the cold streak numbers. You don't get credit for the hot streak having had him on your roster. So let it sit and cook like a stew. The longer it mellows out and cooks, the veggies get tastier, the flavors gel. You can overmanage in the summer and cost yourself a championship. So just let things stew and sit and cook.
Let things summer stew. Don't let things cook like Russell Wilson did.
Yeah,
That didn't work out. That didn't work
don't
out.
trust a guy with more toilets than touchdowns.
I'm gonna go. I'm gonna go with a filet mignon, Matt, because everyone loves getting a good filet mignon,
Yes.
and filet mignons cost a lot of money when
Yep.
you go out to a restaurant. And that's what Corbin Carroll did this offseason, Matt. But my thoughts on this whole thing with Corbin Carroll translates to every draft season, there's a couple players that you look at and you're like, holy smokes, if I want this player, I have to reach for this player. And a lot of the times, if you have strong convictions on this player, whether it's good or bad, and in this case, I was all in on reaching for Corbin Carroll in fourth by the time he got up to a fourth round ADP, and people were like, no, 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 I can't touch Corbin Carroll. I can't. I'd rather just go with the New York strip. I'd rather just go with all these other kinds of steaks that are a little cheaper. Well, if Ronald Acuna didn't exist, Corbin Carroll probably would be the leader in the clubhouse for the NL MVP. Not just the rookie of the year that he is just clearly going to run away with. If you are in the draft season come next season, don't be afraid to reach on a guy that you believe in. Um, just same thing with Jordan Walker. I didn't actually have the same conviction on Jordan Walker as I did with Corbin Carroll, but Jordan Walker's been recalled and he's been great. So sometimes, if there's a player in his ADP, rising, and you're really in on that player, make sure you grab him. You don't want to miss out on the filet mignons, Matt, because you look back and you're like, damn, I was just at the restaurant with the best filet mignon in the world, and I didn't eat there. So, yeah, that's all I got. But I think those are some pretty good meals, especially you're growing some good veggies out there in that Selz garden out there. Um, Guys, don't forget, if you head over to fantasyalarm.com right now, you can get 50% off 6 months of our all access content with code alarm50. It gives you access to our award-winning DFS Playbook Pro, access to Discord, all of our tools, our features, and more. The NFL Draft Guide is out right now at fantasyalarm.com/NFL Draft Guide. You can get that today. Matt, a little segment that you and Colby started recently is Name That Player. So I came up with 2 players that I already forgot who I wrote down, but we're going to go with it. We're going to figure it out who they are at the same time. Ready?
Sure.
All right. Player 1 is an NL Central infielder. After hitting 277 in the month of May while belting 7 home runs, my production has fallen off a cliff as I'm batting 115 with 2 home runs in June. I have an issue making contact as I've posted a 30% strikeout rate for the second consecutive season, but my power potential keeps my bat in the lineup. My team is struggling as a whole, and if I don't provide them with a spark, I still have 3 minor league options available. Who am I?
Would you be Nolan Gorman of the St. Louis Cardinals?
Ding, ding, ding. I wish I had a bell to ring for you, but ding, ding, ding. I am Nolan Gorman. I don't know what else to say. It's been bad.
I mean, he has been bad. Like, this was the concern when he came up, was that he's a lot of swing and miss, and when he makes contact, it goes a long way. But he doesn't make contact that often. So, that's why it was a bit of a surprise that Gorman got to stay up and Jordan Walker went down, because I think they sent the wrong dude down, to be honest. I would expect Nolan Gorman to get a short trip down to Memphis and call up, I don't know, some pitching help, maybe. They could certainly use it.
All right, let's rapid fire the second player as we're getting close on time here. People thought I figured it out after I got off to a torrid start. But newsflash, Matt, I'm the same guy. And this is an AL West outfielder, by the way. I've been the past few seasons at the major league level. I'm hitting just 178 in June, and I've struck out 21 times in 45 at-bats. I have a 359 BABIP, but just a 258 average, so I'm getting a little lucky. Who am I?
You would be Jared Kelenic of the Seattle Mariners.
Ding, ding, ding. 2 for 2 as the show comes to an end. Another guy that people were in on once again, and we're seeing the true colors of Jared Kelenic. Unfortunately, looks like he's going to be another AAA All-Star. Matt, that'll do it for today's episode. Big shout out to you. 2 for 2. You win a prize, and I'll let you know what that is off air. It's probably going to just be a thank you.
Is that a healthy Aaron Judge?
Happy Aaron Judge. And we'll catch you guys